When everything is moving all at once, your workforce, your tech stack, your business, you don't need more tools. You need one solution. That's why Paylocity built a single platform to connect HR, finance, and IT with AI-driven insights and automated workflows that simplify the complex and power what's next. Because when everything comes together in one place, growth comes easy. Experience one place for all your HCM needs. Start now at paylocity.com/one.
A BetterHelp ad. Hold on. 1 second. I just need to... What if you had a room where no one interrupts? No notifications, no expectations, just space to talk. With BetterHelp, therapy happens in a space that's yours. Visit betterhelp.com/randompodcast for 10% off your first month of online therapy.
It's Saturday, 6th of June. I'm Jamie East, and this was a week that saw outrage over the death of student Henry Nowak, Zelensky challenged Putin to a face-to-face meeting, Donald Trump struggled to make headway in the Middle East, and the return of one of music's biggest stars. Grab a cup of something hot, put up your feet, and get up to speed on the 7 biggest stories of the week. This is the Standout 7 from the Smart 7.
It's news,
But not the news. The sentencing of a Sikh man who was described in court as weapons-obsessed for the murder of an 18-year-old Southampton student caused controversy on Tuesday. The man, named as Vikram Digwa, stabbed student Henry Nowak 5 times, but when police arrived, Digwa claimed he was the victim of a racist incident. Police then handcuffed the student as he lay on the ground, and he died before he could be taken to hospital. Prime Minister Keir Starmer watched the video of the incident, which sparked a police inquiry.
It's harrowing, and as a father of a 17-year-old, I felt sick. It is absolutely right that the IOPC are looking at this. There are clearly serious questions that need to be addressed.
Digwa, who was sentenced to a 21-year jail term, was carrying 2 knives, a traditional Sikh dagger, but also a larger ceremonial weapon with an 8-inch blade called a kirpan, which he used to stab the student. That sparked controversy from right-wing figures including Elon Musk and Nigel Farage, who said the killing should inspire pure cold rage. Those remarks were criticised by both the Prime Minister and Home Secretary Shabana Mahmood.
We cannot allow this murder to turn communities against one another. We must condemn those who seek personal political profit from tragedy. We must show who we really are in this country.
The Chief Constable of Hampshire Police apologised on Wednesday to the family of student Henry Nowak. Alexis Boone said he was distressed by the body cam footage, which showed the handcuffed student telling officers that he had been stabbed and that he couldn't breathe. The incident sparked protests and near riots in Southampton as far-right influencer Tommy Robinson has been capitalising on the death to stir up hatred and resurface accusation of what he calls 2-tier policing. Policing Minister Sarah Jones spoke to Radio 4 on Wednesday.
The principles of what our policing by consent foundations are based on, equality under the law, that is the basis of our entire society. I think we see examples of people making the wrong call in different ways.
The disturbances on Tuesday night left 11 police officers injured, and Prime Minister Keir Starmer had stern words for Reform Party leader Nigel Farage.
His response has been to appeal for rage. Exploiting this tragedy to create grievance and division would be wrong in any circumstances, but to do it when the family are expressly saying, please don't, is unforgivable.
The PM met the family of murdered student Henry Nowak on Thursday to discuss what the government's response should be to an incident that has shocked the nation. Keir Starmer said he had been profoundly humbled by the meeting with the family and promised to take whatever action is required to right the wrongs in the case. He also had fresh criticism of right-wing figures who have used the incident to stir up controversy, with a particular mention for ex-owner Elon Musk.
Musk, again, has been interfering in our politics in the last few days, trying to whip up division. That is not who we are in Britain. In Britain, we are reasonable, tolerant people. When we have a terrible case like Henry's case, we react calmly, as his family have done.
Former Tory Justice Secretary Alex Chalk says that the rules of engagement need to be clarified for police officers on the front line.
I think the police have been given muddled and unclear guidance. And by and large, they want to do the right thing, but they're sometimes confused about what the right thing is. And I think we should just be super clear, very bright lines, be fair, treat everyone equally.
Tuesday morning saw a brutal wave of drone and missile attacks hit Ukraine, with at least 22 people killed as strikes hit Kyiv and Dnipro. Russia's attacks have been escalating recently as the US stepped back from any involvement in a peace process, and Ukraine's air defences struggle with an increasing number of ballistic missile attacks. Ukrainian President Zelensky directly appealed to the US for more missiles for air defence, offering to pay for the armaments, but has had no reply. Russia's Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov says the attacks are in retaliation for Ukraine's long-range strikes on Russia's oil industry.
We consider such actions illegal. They border on international piracy. We absolutely disagree that they are carried out in compliance with international law. Russia is taking a number of measures to protect its cargo and will continue to take such measures.
Secretary of State Marco Rubio summed up America's new approach to world politics at a Senate hearing on Tuesday.
The United States government is not a charity. We are not here to play social worker. We are here to win. We are here to win on behalf of the American people and on behalf of the national interest, to win for the things that are important for our future, and that's what we exist to do.
Wednesday saw Ukraine strike back against Russia, with long-range Ukrainian drones hitting oil refineries in St. Petersburg, just as guests arrived for an economic forum event that has been branded Russia's Davos. The strikes also hit and set fire to a Russian naval vessel in the port and will cause major embarrassment to the Russian leader, who was due to make a keynote speech on Friday. Ukraine refers to these strikes as long-range sanctions, but it's sure to spark a further escalation from Russia. However, President Zelensky says his goal is still to end the war.
For us, finishing the war remains priority number one, and there is no alternative to this. I am ready for direct negotiations with Putin to end this war.
NATO Secretary-General Mark Rutte made a surprise visit to Kyiv this week despite escalating Russian attacks that have killed more than 20 people and injured hundreds more. His visit was intended to ramp up pressure on Ukraine's allies to help provide more air defences as Russian airstrikes have become increasingly intense. Analysis from the Institute for the Study of War suggests that Russia is struggling to get any traction on the front line and so has switched to a more aggressive air raid strategy. Rutte says the numbers for Russian casualties are pretty shocking.
Russia is increasingly desperate. Russian losses are substantial, over 30,000 per month, losing more men in 1 month than the Soviet Union did in 10 years in the 1980s in Afghanistan.
President Zelensky sent a letter to the Russian president proposing a ceasefire and peace talks, while Putin says that Ukraine is running out of troops. The Russian president did address the question of what he would say if the war in Ukraine finally came to an end during a press conference in St. Petersburg.
Thank God, that's what one would say, that it's gonna be over soon. But of course, lawyers should research it carefully.
The government's consultation on a social media ban for teens closed last week, and Prime Minister Keir Starmer has promised that the government will take swift action once the submissions have been analysed. There were more than 81,000 responses submitted, but Scotland's Children's Commissioner Nicola Killian has already warned that she doesn't think a ban will keep children safer online. Children's Commissioner for England, Rachel de Souza, says that the social media platforms need to be made responsible for the content that they publish on their platforms, and from the research she has done, she says it's more important that a safer environment is created for kids rather than a straightforward ban.
I talk to X all the time and I say to them, you do not deserve to have our children on there unless you take all this hardcore porn off, but I wouldn't talk about banning children because they've done nothing wrong.
The government published a massive tranche of files and messages on Monday, all relating to the appointment of Lord Mandelson as the UK's ambassador to the United States. The files, which covered 1,500 pages, included text messages from Mandelson to senior ministers and criticism of Prime Minister Keir Starmer, who the former peer referred to as lacking verve, and describing Number 10 as being in need of a complete revamp. Darren Jones, Chief Secretary to the Prime Minister, said no expense has been spared in preparing the massive release of files.
The documents we are publishing today are one of the largest government publications ever laid before this House. This disclosure process has been wide-ranging, costing the Cabinet Office alone over £1 million.
The media immediately began trawling through the documents, but the primary discovery so far has been the amount of infighting inside the government. Lord Beamish, who is the chairman of the Security and Intelligence Committee, says that redactions have been kept to a minimum.
I think what we've tried to do is we've tried to ensure we get as much in the public domain as possible, but the But the point is that things have not been taken out just for embarrassment purposes, for example.
The messages in particular provided intriguing details into the backroom infighting in number 10, and even the fact that Lord Mandelson wanted to present Donald Trump with a ministerial red box as a gift. However, a new issue emerged on Tuesday as Downing Street confirmed that Prime Minister Keir Starmer has disappearing messages switched on his WhatsApp, which raises questions about what messages might or might not have been sent. Number 10 say that is in line with official best practice, but Tory Shadow Cabinet Office Minister Alex Burghardt is suspicious about what might be missing.
Well, I suspect that if they haven't been handed over, they've been deleted, and it beggars belief that there were so few exchanges between Mandelson and the Prime Minister. There's almost nothing in the record.
Meanwhile, Chancellor Rachel Reeves has been busy bringing the summer vibes in an attempt to cheer up the UK's economy. Last month she launched Great British Summer Savings, which saw VAT rates on attractions reduced and free bus travel for teens. And on Wednesday she was back on the entertainment trail. She was on site in Bedfordshire for the announcement of the UK's newest theme park, which will be called the Universal United Kingdom Resort and will attract an estimated £5 billion investment during the construction phase. Comcast Universal's parent company estimates that the attraction will see over 8 million visitors a year when it opens in 5 years' time, and Reeves was happy to announce a substantial investment to improve public transport and infrastructure.
We recognise that you're going to have more people coming here, and that is a good thing because that is what's creating the jobs and opportunities for local people, but the infrastructure is not ready today to accommodate all those extra people, and that is why we're putting these upgrades in.
Last weekend saw no further progress towards a resolution of the standoff in the Middle East between America and Iran. America once again launched strikes on Iranian missile launchers, while Kuwait's air defences reported a drone and missile attack from Iran on Monday morning. President Donald Trump reviewed the latest peace proposals and appears to have sent back new demands to toughen up the agreement, but it's not clear what that will mean in practical terms. Meanwhile, he was back on Fox News being interviewed by daughter-in-law Lara Trump and reciting his familiar lines about the state of Iran's military, while also complaining about the US media.
Iran is in a very bad position. They have no military. All they have is good talk, and they have a fake press. We wipe out their military. The New York Times would say, Iran has defeated the United States of America. You have a big win in a battle, and they say you lost.
While the world waited for news on the Strait of Hormuz, Israel continued to push troops further into Gaza and into Lebanon, despite ceasefires theoretically in place across both territories. Israeli forces captured Beaufort Castle, a largely symbolic location, but also the furthest inside Lebanon they have been since the year 2000. Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu says his forces are not finished yet.
My instruction is to deepen and expand our hold on areas that were under Hezbollah's control. We are initiating action. We are operating on all fronts. It will take time, but we will complete the mission.
Iran then threatened to formally suspend peace talks with the US on Monday as it became increasingly concerned about Israel's ongoing strikes in Lebanon. Donald Trump responded on social media, saying that talks were continuing at a rapid pace and that he had spoken to both Israeli PM Netanyahu and Hezbollah representatives and that the shooting would stop. EU Foreign Policy Chief Kaja Kallas was in Islamabad on Monday for an EU-Pakistan meeting, and she had praise for the efforts of the Pakistani negotiators.
Pakistan has been the main mediator between the United States and Iran. Your diplomatic efforts have helped to prevent a return to full-blown war, and these efforts are much recognized and appreciated across Europe.
Former US Ambassador to the UN, John Bolton, is sounding increasingly pessimistic about what the actual deal will achieve.
The Iranian regime is allowed to survive, which it looks like Trump is prepared to acknowledge. They will simply benefit from the reopening of the strait to sell more oil, gain more revenue, and entrench themselves in power. And in X period of time, we'll be right back where we started from.
Wednesday saw Israel and Lebanon renew their ceasefire after peace talks held in Washington, which may ease the path towards peace between the US and Iran. Tehran had threatened to end negotiations unless Israel stopped strikes against Hezbollah in South Lebanon, and at least one person was killed on Wednesday after an Iranian strike on a Kuwaiti airport. The US Congress also voted on Wednesday to end the war, and the motion will now head to the Senate. But both Donald Trump and Secretary of State Marco Rubio have been busy insisting that the war as such is over. There have also been reports of a fiery phone call between Trump and the Israeli PM.
I'm the one that started it because we can't let them have a nuclear weapon. Now, that pertains to Israel because they probably would have been the first one to get hit. If there wasn't me, there would be no Israel.
With growing anxiety about what the US-Iran peace deal might look like and whether or not Israel will have any influence, Prime Minister Netanyahu has been busy trying to reposition his relationship with the US.
I mean, we appreciate it. I appreciate every amount of help that America has given us over the years. But I think just as we moved away from financial aid, economic aid, we can move away now from military aid and move to a partnership.
Donald Trump's hopes of getting the Middle East peace process back on track came off the rails on Thursday. He'd been hoping a new ceasefire between Israel and Lebanon would see Iran return to negotiations and the Strait of Hormuz reopened. However, Hezbollah rejected the new ceasefire, describing it as a roadmap to annihilate part of the Lebanese people and called for a withdrawal of all Israeli troops from Lebanon. That puts the US under renewed pressure as Iran continues to maintain a ceasefire in Lebanon is an integral part of any final agreement. The US president was doing his best to minimise the situation on Thursday.
How do you define ceasefire?
Pretty much the way it is. It's a different part of the world. I'd say in that part of the world, ceasefire is when you're shooting in a more moderate manner.
Still to come on today's Standout 7, in association with Metro, Arsenal come close to glory and Paul McCartney just won't quit. Right after this.
You've got social dialed in. Search is doing its thing. So why do your marketing results look the same as 6 months ago? That's because you're fishing in the same pond as everyone else. Podcast listeners are a different audience entirely. More engaged, harder to reach through traditional channels, and ready to act when someone they trust makes a recommendation. We're Acast, and we put them right in front of you. Browse thousands of the world's leading podcasts, book host reads or run your own ads, and track every conversion in real time. Same skills you already have, brand new results. Acast. Acast.com/advertise.
Welcome back. Last Saturday night saw Arsenal face off against PSG in Budapest in the Champions League final. Mikel Arteta's men took an early lead, but the French side won a penalty and equalised, with the game going to extra time and then penalties. Arsenal lost 4-3 after a heartbreaking miss, and the French side went on to retain the Champions League title. The victory led to riots in Paris with over 700 arrested, while Arsenal held a Premier League victory parade in London on Sunday. Manager Mikel Arteta said the loss was painful, but the experience will be invaluable.
Now I think it's pain. We have to feel it. We need to go through that, and at some point we're going to have to try to turn that fuel into fuel to improve and reach another level.
The former CEO of the Scottish National Party, Peter Murrell, has admitted to embezzling more than £400,000 from his organisation. He's due to be sentenced in June, but his guilty plea hasn't ended media interest in the story, with his former wife and former Scottish First Minister Nicola Sturgeon in the spotlight. She maintains that she was completely cleared by the police and not aware that her then-husband had bought a motorhome, watches and jewellery with the funds. She spoke to the BBC on Sunday.
He perpetrated a crime on the SNP. He misled, he deceived. He's serving and will be serving a sentence for a crime he committed. I'm out here feeling as if I'm serving a sentence for a crime I did not commit.
Labour's Work and Pensions Secretary Pat McFadden is one of those calling for a more detailed inquiry into the SNP and their finances.
The SNP have been the dominant force in Scottish politics for 20 years. When these scandals hit, and the SNP is not the only party to be hit by scandal, I should make that clear, the only way through it is full transparency.
The former SNP chief executive may have pleaded guilty to embezzlement, but he still had a hearing on Tuesday which laid out the timeline of his crimes. Murrell is accused of taking more than £400,000 over a period of 12 years and is expected to receive a lengthy sentence on June 23rd. Tuesday saw a list of items read out in court, while prosecutors described a series of false invoices and fake expenses, claims which were intended to cover up the missing funds. Senior prosecutor Alan Cameron provided the details.
Many of the items purchased, particularly from Amazon, were inexpensive articles for everyday living, such as cleaning products and batteries. Others were expensive items from luxury retailers, items for gardening, watches, clothing and leisure goods such as books, DVDs and video games and consoles.
Kiefer Sutherland has had a stellar career as an actor. He's been in the iconic thriller series 24, which got him an Emmy and a Golden Globe. He's also starred in classic movies like Stand By Me, Flatliners and Phone Booth. But despite his on-screen fame, it seems he really wants to make it as a musician. He's just released his 4th album, Grey, and he's been busy touring the UK with his band. His music is country-influenced, and the album's been getting good reviews. He told Chris Evans he's really enjoying the creative process.
The process of songwriting is quite consistent for me. And it's never that you sit down to write, I'm going to write a song saying Goodbye California. It was just kind of finding a chord pattern that you like and just kind of eventually some words pop out.
Yeah, they do.
About what you're thinking and what you're feeling. And for me, I realized, oh my gosh, this is really going to happen.
And while Kiefer is enjoying his music, this week saw a serious heavyweight step back into the ring. Paul McCartney may be 83 years old, but he's certainly keeping busy. He's got a new album just about to drop called The Boys of Dungeon Lane that's been getting rave reviews, and he's been on a whirlwind of TV and media appearances. From helping Stephen Colbert close down The Late Show to appearing on SNL and even joining Amelia Di-Moldenberg on a chicken shop date, he's been having a great time. He spoke to the Today Show about life and his never-ending love for music.
It's just something I love. I can't believe I do it professionally. You know, if I have a spare minute and there's a guitar around, I probably would just enjoy. And it's like, oh, wow. And you've amazed yourself.
You've been listening to The Smart 7. We'll be back tomorrow at 7 a.m. Hit that follow button and have a great day. Give us 7 minutes and we'll give you the world.
Insurance isn't one size fits all. That's why drivers have trusted Progressive's Name Your Price tool for years. Just tell Progressive what you want to pay, and they'll show you coverage options that fit your budget. Visit Progressive.com to find a car insurance rate that works for you. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
Stitch Fix. Stop shopping. Get styled. Not today, sweatpants. Somebody's wearing jeans that fit.
Wow! No photos, please. I'm just a regular dad who happens to have a stylist.
I really look my best when someone else makes the decisions.
Hey, we can all see you two-way mirrors.
Just share your size, style, and budget, and your stylist sends personalized looks right to your door. Stitch Fix. Get started today at StitchFix.com. I want to hug you. I'm going to hug you. I'm coming in for a hug.